Hello, everybody. I'm here again with another episode, and today I have with me Virat Pal. Did I get right your name, Virat?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Amazing. So he's one of the directors for the VHS Beyond. He directed the Dream Girls segment. So thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you, Alejandro. Yeah, I love being here. Thank you for having me.
How did this opportunity for being in the VHS series came out for you?
So I have to. So I think it all started with our amazing producer of VHS Beyond, Josh Goldblum, who basically has been the producer on the VHS franchise since it's been rebooted with Shudder, since VHS 94, 99, 85, and now beyond. I think Josh Goldblum was very inspired by some of the Indian films he was watching, and like I think RRR and Kill and a couple of others, and he had this kind of a visionary idea that why don't we try to do a segment maybe set in India, and he reached out to a really nice, really good friend of his, Josh Hurtado, who's a film sort of film journalist, film curator, and set in based in I guess Texas. And Josh Hurtado, who loves Indian cinema and like has an encyclopedic knowledge of Indian cinema, reached out to one of the biggest Indian directors, Anurag Kashyap, who's like massive in India. He's like a big Indian auteur. And Anurag Kashyap and I had spoken in the past, and we were like, um, we were sort of working on something together also once, and he knew about me and my work, and he recommended me. He said Virat would be like the best person to tackle a VHS segment set in India, and that's how I came to the sort of awareness of Josh Goldblum, the producer, and we got on a call. I had some ideas. I was a big fan of the franchise as is, and then we were off to the races. So it was a very circuitous journey, one can say.
Oh, but that is so cool. And then I don't know, were you all already a fan of VHS?
I loved the VHS franchise. I was a huge fan, and I mean, back from like the original VHS movies which came out in 2012 and 2013 to the ones which have just been rebooted with Shudder. I was a huge fan. I would watch them opening weekend. They would get released on Shudder, and I mean, I'm serious. I mean, like I kind of have told the story before, but like last October, there was an announcement that VHS 7 is coming out and it's going to be sci-fi themed. It was on October 13th, which is my birthday. So I read the article and I'm like, oh wow. I mean, I wonder who the directors are going to be. And obviously, many months later, I got to be part of this incredible team. So it's genuinely like a dream come true for me.
I guess it was the very first Indian segment that we've seen on the franchise, right?
Yeah. I would even say, in a way, the first South Asian segment. I know the Indonesian segments have been there before. The two Indonesian ones, both are like bangers, and obviously you have some international segments from Spain and Mexico. But yeah, I mean, I would say, first Indian, first South Asian segment from the subcontinent, which is great, and that we got to shoot there. We got to even, it was in Hindi, which is the language spoken there in like one of the languages spoken there. So yeah, it was great.
How was the reception back there? Like in India, how people received that? I think it was it should have been amazing for everyone to see.
It
Uh,
was. It was. I received so many messages on Instagram, on the social platforms about like how I just it's so heartening to get a message from somebody saying, "Hey, I came across a segment. I didn't even know there was going to be an Indian segment. I saw it. I was blown away. I was so happy. I mean, because these kind of movies are not really made over there. Found footage movies. I mean, very few and far between, and especially like something which goes this hard on the gore side to kind of like just going hard on the horror set pieces. This is all the blood and guts. It's like it's not something which is done there with these kind of practical effects and everything. So the fact that we were able to just not have any of those restrictions and just make something crazy. I think a lot of horror fans in India who love watching the horror films from the West, from different parts of the world, and kind of yearn for that kind of horror to exist in India. I think they were especially very, they were very appreciative, and it was so nice to see that, because that was essentially like my goal and aim, that like folks back home, they, I hope, appreciate it and respond well to it. And yeah, I think we were able to infuse a lot of culture in it with the song and everything. And then, so it's a nice balance of infusing some of the culture, some of the stuff which, Indian cinema, Bombay Hindi cinema is known for, but then kind of like taking it to this crazy horror extreme with stuff which happens in the second half.
For the people that are in India, the filmmakers that live in India, that produce movies in India, do you think that this somehow open a door for them to start looking at, okay, we can go to Hollywood, we can produce horror like in the mainstream? Or how do you feel like your segment affected the movie makers from India?
What I've been thinking is that there is so much interest in filmmakers from around the world in the US. You know, I'll give you an example. That 2 years ago in 2022, I was back home in India, and my wife and I, we had gone there to make a feature in India, a horror feature, but things fell apart and we were not able to make it. So we were a bit dejected and disappointed, but we thought, like, we've come to India, we were going to go back to the US in a few months, and we thought, why don't we make a horror short? Okay, something on our own. So what we did was we basically pulled in whatever savings we had, and we made this horror short in Delhi, the capital, New Delhi, which is where I'm from. Now, New Delhi doesn't even have a filmmaking. It's not like a filmmaking ecosystem. The filmmaking industries are in Mumbai and in Hyderabad and like a couple of other places around the country, in Chennai, but not in Delhi. But there were enough like vendors and equipment people that we were able, and some really cool sort of talented creative collaborators we were able to find in Delhi itself. And we made this 7-minute horror short, and we made that. I finished it, and then I started submitting it to film festivals, from film festivals here, film festivals in Europe, from Delhi itself. And then when I came here, we got into some really big festivals. We got into Fantasia, which is in Canada. We got into Overlook, which was in North America, and we won awards in these places. And somehow then my short kind of got passed around. A short made in Delhi in Hindi, a 7-minute short got passed around in LA, and people were loving it. It was very sort of culturally Indian, but with a sort of a genre horror bent to it. So what I mean to say is, for filmmakers in India or anywhere in the world, as long as if you want to make a horror short, even set where you are, that's perfectly fine. As long as it's like an authentic thing, it's something which is unique, it's different, it's fresh, and it has. If you're sort of making it in the horror sort of genre space, add a really cool sort of unique genre element to it, and then submit it to film festivals, put it up on YouTube, put it. Basically, there's so many avenues. Point is, it will be seen, and people who genre lovers in the US or in Europe, wherever, it doesn't matter where the film has come from. Genre horror lovers, they will sort of gravitate towards anything. As long as it is a story well told, and it has fun, it is unnerving, it is scary. It doesn't matter where the movies come from. So I would encourage, and I encourage, like, filmmakers and other like collaborators and people I come up to, who come up to me or ask me or get in touch with me. I just tell them, make stuff and put it out there. That's essentially what I did for a decade.
And it worked so fine. I really loved your work. You're very talented. So,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I just thank you for producing that. I really loved it. How did you came up with that idea for that segment? Did you already have that in your mind, or it was created specifically for VHS?
Well, uh, uh, I would say it was created specifically for VHS, but it's an idea which. So I got to know that I'm going to have a call with Josh Goldblum, the producer, on a Monday. I think it was a Monday, about like sort of 10 in the morning. And the call was somewhere in the afternoon, then got pushed to the evening. And in that period of time, I didn't even know whether they wanted to do a segment in India or not, but I had an inkling that perhaps they might be sort of contemplating and doing an international segment, perhaps set in India or somewhere around there. I had a hunch because they were talking with Indian filmmakers, etc. So basically, the entire day I was just thinking and kind of spitballing ideas of what could be set over there, and I think I finally narrowed down on two, and this was one of them. And so when I got onto the call with the producer, I just pitched him this idea. He flipped for it. He loved it. He just loved the whole Bollywood backdrop setting and the fact that we go through the point of view of a paparazzi, which I don't think I had seen before in a found footage sort of horror film or anything. And the fact that we get to see this really cool, like behind the scenes making of a song, but then we actually see the song, and then we see her going into her trailer, and these guys sneak in, and then we get to see what this superstar actually is, and then shit goes down because of these paparazzis interfering. He just thought that was a really cool idea, and we obviously developed it as in subsequent calls with the studio Shudder and all the other producers. But this was inherently the pitch, and it's what you see. It's
It's great.
so
Yeah, I love the
yeah.
aspect that you brought the dances that we see in Indian movies. You brought it to the segment, and it was so cool to see that. Like I thought great that you were able to tie the future from India to the horror segment, and everything matched just perfectly. It was like
Oh, thank you.
I don't know. I don't have any other words to describe it.
Oh wow, yeah, that's exactly what we were trying to do. And I used to always wonder and think out loud and talk with the other filmmakers and people we were working with, that we are going to put like this song and all this in a VHS segment. It's going to be wild. I mean, it's such a wide swing. But I'm glad that Josh and Shudder and everybody were so excited by it, but just excited to do something new. You would never expect something like this in a VHS segment. I was talking with somebody the other day, and they said when the song came up, they couldn't believe that they were watching a VHS segment. But I think that's fun, Even on the seventh installment of this franchise, which is so legendary by now, you can surprise viewers and you can do something different. And then you wonder, how is this going to pivot into sci-fi? And then when it does, it just goes all out. And I love that, I love that it plays with your expectations. I love that it shows you a new culture. I love that it shows Mumbai city. And I think all these things were very important to me and very near and dear to me. And I'm just amazed that we were able to do it and that we were able to put it out there. It's still, I think the best word to describe the whole feeling is surreal. It's surreal to have, this segment in this franchise, and it's. I mean, it's, as I said earlier in our conversation, it's a dream come true.
Is that something you learn, like making a film like that? Because for me, it's like it's a lot of talent.
In terms of film schools, I think the whole idea. I mean, it depends from person to person. Some people like um, having that sort of experience so that they can work with other filmmakers in a safe environment and make them. If you ask my advice, I would obviously just suggest in term, like, a person should do what they personally gravitate towards. Film school is totally fine if they can afford it. It's very, very expensive. I'm guessing all over the world it's very expensive. Um, but at the same time, I would really suggest to just, there is so many resources online on the internet. Filmmaking sort of, like, you can learn all the different aspects of film production, and I would just study those, watch those videos, read those articles, listen to those podcasts, listen to other filmmakers, see the behind the scenes, see director commentaries, and just make stuff on your own. That's all I would suggest. But that's the best way to learn, because you will make something, you will learn so many things, then you will make something else, then you will make something else. And in every project, you will learn something. You will kind of find your own voice throughout the process, because you will try different things as a filmmaker. You would be inspired by so many different filmmakers. I see you have Texas Chainsaw Massacre behind, and you have um, Orphan and all these great movies. You can be inspired in a horror setting. You could be inspired by Wes Craven. You could be inspired by Toby Hooper. You could be inspired by John Carpenter. You could be inspired by James Wan. By all these great filmmakers. Um, and then maybe you might want to emulate the films you really admire. But at the same time, that's but through that process, you have to find your own creative voice, or what you can bring to the table. What is your, like, signature thing which you are known for? And it has taken me a long time to figure that out as well. And so I would just suggest, make stuff.
And did it change
Just
you? like doing this segment, did it change you somehow? Like after that, do you have different ideas? Is there any plans that are different than what you were thinking before?
Yes, I would say that I had never, I never had made something in India at that scale. I made that short which I was telling you about, but never at that scale. With we obviously had a higher budget. We were able to get all these amazing creative collaborators together in India. I, I really it gave me. I sort of got the bug to make something in India again, and hopefully something in the horror space. I just think there are so many incredible creative artists over there, and I would love to work with them and just make something like killer, make something fun, and take it around the world. That is something I would love. I had never made sort of obviously I never made something which had a song, so I thought just filming a song was so joyful and such an incredible, wonderful experience that I would love to maybe make something which has a song again. It really gave me a newfound appreciation for the cinema from India. The cinema I grew up watching, and I still watch. I still watch a lot of Hindi films and all these films which come out from India, and I kind of in the preparation for this segment, I did a lot of research. I revisited those movies, and it sort of just gave me a newfound appreciation for them, and just made me realize how intricate and amazing that art form is. you know
That is so cool, man. Please tell me Shudder is interested in doing like a feature review, because I really love to see something like like
I really hope we get to do a feature set in India. Fun fact: Shudder at this current moment has nothing from South Asia, from the Indian sort of that subcontinent, and Dream Girl is the only, like, I mean, it's part of VHS. I mean, VHS Beyond. It's an anthology movie, so it's just a segment. But this is the only thing set from the subcontinent, from South Asia, from India on Shudder. So, I feel very proud that I could be the one who's has that Indian sort of the only Indian segment there. But I would really love for there to be a feature, which is which we get to do, which we get to make over there, and have hopefully get to put it on the Shudder platform. It would be incredible.
I really hope that comes through. Seriously, because I really love that. And in general, do you think do you already have, like, regardless, despite of Shudder, do you have plans of something new? Did this segment inspired you on creating anything new?
Yeah. I mean, we were already working on a bunch of ideas and different things. I was working on developing other feature projects and everything. So that was already happening concurrently, and even before I started working on the Dream Girl segment. But even now, post this, there are some things we are all, the entire team is kind of spitballing and brainstorming over, and hopefully we'll get to do something very exciting soon.
Buddy, really, I'd really like to thank you for talking to me today. I think it was great conversation.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you to all the people who not only in Brazil but all the other countries. I will use this platform to tell them thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for appreciating our segment, because I know it's something very different. It has all these cultural elements and a song and all these things. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I totally get it. We were doing something very different, but the people who actually appreciated it and liked it, thank you so much. It's a big sort of confidence booster for us also, to maybe, and for me personally, to go try to do something different, and to just make stuff like this more. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
No, and based on what we spoke here, like, one of the things that make me a little sad and disappointed nowadays is the fact that sometimes it's hard to see people being original and doing what they believed, what, just like what you did, right? You were true to yourself, and you believed that, you gave it a shot, and it was amazing. So thank you for bringing that to horror. Really, I think we need more directors like you. Seriously.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, thank you. Some people I could tell were not that enthusiastic with some of the cultural elements in the song and everything we had, and I get that. It's whenever there is something very like different and new, there is a little bit of it is a bit. It might be difficult for some people to digest, but at the same time, I think when you do something like this, you make people sort of you open them up a little bit to other experiences, and hopefully down the line, they would be more, audiences just will be more willing to watch stuff like this. And I think we took some baby steps in it, and I hope we just get to like just go with it and do something crazier. And I would love to see other filmmakers also from around the world get to play, in this kind of a field. They get to do something which is in the genre space, but also something they want to, you know, add something unique from their end. I think that's essentially what people around the world want to watch. I can guarantee you that that was something which excites me. It inspires me, and that's the only thing. I mean, that's my takeaway, and that's the only thing I could kind of say in our as a sort of an ending point in our conversation as well.
Okay, just I need to ask you one final question because I'm very curious. Like, can you give us any spoiler of what you are working next?
Uh, well, one of the things I'm working on is this. So my short is, which from 2 years ago was, it was called Night of the Bride, and it was basically about forced marriages, which can sometimes happen in India. Somebody getting forced to get married to somebody, and a ceremony taking place. And it's about this woman who's being forced to get married to some person, and I don't want to ruin a thing, but there's something wrong with the groom, you know, um, and uh, um, and then we see this very pressure cooker kind of environment with her being sort of like overpowered by the family, and it's a very sort of perverted version of a beautiful ceremony, but they don't realize that there are some other twists and turns that are going to happen in this sort of a setting. I've basically taken that and expanded it into a feature, uh, which is about a girl who, an Indian girl who sort of ends up meeting a family, and they just want to help her with her work and situation and everything, but then they have ulterior motives, and then something goes wrong, and it's not what you expect. It's not what you expect because
So cool,
um,
man.
they may have chosen the wrong person for their ulterior motives. So it's a really fun thing. It's one of the things I'm working on. We also have we are playing around with ideas of maybe having a horror film set in India as well. So let's see what comes about next. And you'll be the first to know. Let me tell you that.
Okay, that's great. And you did it again, right? Like this feature is like you're again mixing like horror with the Indian culture, which I think
Yes,
it's great. You're
yes.
bringing your signature. I really love that.
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
I'm I need to watch it as soon as it comes out.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm actually going to be releasing the short one of these days. So I'll send you the link when it's out. At least you can watch the 7 minute short. I would love to know what you think.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, man, for taking this time to talk to me. I really love your work. Honestly,
Thank you.
I'm a fan of horror, and I like the classics, but I'm dying to see things original coming out, and what you did was amazing. Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anando. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, buddy. So yeah, anytime you want to talk about horror or anything interesting you have to share, just message me.
I will do that likewise. And yeah, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I loved our discussion, and I would just love to discuss horror and movies again soon.
All
It was such
right.
a pleasure.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, buddy. Have a nice day.
You too. Take care, Anando. Thank you so much.